Always so lovely to host you every Wednesday of the month. Greetings, leaders from the African continent and across the world. It's so lovely to have you with us today. My name is Maud Nale. I am the communications lead at Digital Earth Africa. And today we are going to be talking about land cover mapping. Land use or land cover maps classify land into three broad categories, including water, crops, or built area. They are useful for visualizing the dominant land uses in a given area. The total or proportion of different classes can also be calculated for a specific area. In today's session, we are going to show you, or Digital Earth Africa or a facilitator will show you how to map land cover in Digital Earth Africa Map, as well as the sandbox. I'm so honored to introduce today's presenter. He's no stranger here at Digital Earth Africa and at these live sessions. He is the capacity development lead at Digital Earth Africa. Please join me in welcoming onto the virtual stage, Dr. Kenneth Mubea. Dr. Mubea, the stage is yours. Over to you.
Thank you so much, Maud Nale. Greetings from Nairobi, Kenya. I also understand today some of us on a public holiday, including Kenya as well. So I had to step in for my colleague based in Nigeria. My colleague Yajemi will be able to present next week on the same topic in French. So thank you so much, everybody, for joining us. Today we'll be talking about land cover mapping, which is very important for different sectors and different countries, etc., etc. And today I'll just give you a summary of what is available on DAfrica as we continue to collaborate with more partners across the continent to make sure we leave no one behind. So just as a recap is that Digital Earth Africa provides all the analysis-ready data from the free satellites, and all these are geared towards addressing various societal problems as well as SDGs. And all the work we do is based on the Open Data Cube technology, as well as powered by AWS, Amazon Web Service. As introduced by the moderator of this session, is that we are talking about land cover mapping, which is very crucial for different sectors. And in Africa, we provide access to most of these data sets, especially data from the European Space Agency. And in this particular example, I'll be showing examples of land cover mapping between 2 years that can be useful for our work. So having started is that you've all looked at our Digital Africa maps, and these also provide you the catalog of what is available. For example, you can be able to see land cover data in that particular tab, and we currently have the ESA world cover data, as well as the data from the ESRI, as well as data from CGI land cover. And in this particular example, I'll just be able to show you how we can navigate around the data sets, move into a certain area that was meant for this today's example. And this is Ouidah in Benin. So in my DAfrica maps, I'm able to load the data, as some of you have been able to access this particular platform. And on the land cover data, you can access these data sets as I mentioned. For example, looking at the land cover data in 2020 from European Space Agency, and going to the example of the area that I mentioned, you can just pick the coordinates and put them on your search button, and you can navigate to Ouidah in Benin, just near Cotonou, and you can see the situation in the year 2020. And also moving forward is that you can add another data set as well for the other year, which was 2021. And we can also choose to do the compare, which I'll put the other one on the left, 2020 and the 2021. And I can be able to navigate around the area to see how much area has changed. And also you can move into any other location in the continent. For example, I could go to where I currently am, and you can see how the situation is between different dates. And some of the cities, especially the ones which have experienced around big urbanization, you'll be able to see the context of that as we proceed. So some of the areas you can notice new developments, others changes, and the red being the land cover urban class, which is very crucial for navigation. And in this particular case, in the case of Nairobi, we have a park just next to the city, and you can see also how it has changed over time based on land gradation or restoration, etc., etc. So that's just an example of what we have on the D-Africa maps. And going next to my presentation is that we can also do the same in Sandbox. And this particular one has been some ongoing work we've had with our partners, implementing partners, Observation Sahel in Tunisia and our partner Afrigist in Nigeria. So they developed this particular notebook, which helps you to load that particular data that I've mentioned, and be able to do some comparison in this particular case. And I'll be able to share this presentation as well with you in the chat so that you can try this on your own. So going back to the same example of Ouidah, we can be able to navigate to that sandbox. I'll be able to show the notebook, and we can be able to load some of the products that you can see, such as the land cover in the different years. So going to my sandbox, this particular notebook has been co-developed with partners, as I mentioned, and it shows you the data sets that will be used in this particular example. And this is just giving you a summary of the data sets that we have, which is very useful for your projects. Most of you are engaged in country level or city level programs where you want to see the changes over time. So here we load the data, and particular case, we load the land cover data for 2020 for this particular comparison. And you can change here respectively to 2020 to 2021. And this is where you change the extents of your coordinates. And as you can see, the lat and long, and that is particular area which has been loaded, and time scale in 2020. And using the land cover of 2020, I'll be able to see the changes over time. And it's a very interactive notebook, giving you the changes over time, takes very few minutes. And some of you have always asked if you're able to get a screenshot of this. Mostly if you're able to do a shift control on your keyboard, you'll be able to see, you can save your image as, and can be used in your particular report. And also moving on to the particular areas, we can calculate the area of each class for this particular example, and you'll be able to come up with the land cover classes from tree cover, shrubland, grassland, cropland, built-up areas, is urban, water bodies, wetlands, and hibiscus wetlands. And for this case, I can see most of it has been very good tree cover based on that particular assessment. And going back to the presentation, I'll be able to see that based on this assessment, why not compare for different years? So this is the land cover in 2020, and moving, you can see the area per class as a summary. And out of curiosity, I was able to run it for another country, specifically location in Nairobi, Kenya. And I was able to see the land cover in 2020 and 2029, and just this is the city. And based on that, I can be able to move further and see the ESA land cover in 2020, making the comparison to see. And the other statistics is that you can get area per class for that particular year, 2020, and also you can generate for another year, for example, 2021. So once you change, as I showed you earlier on, you can get the land cover in 2020, comparison to what was 2019, and have the same in 2021 as a comparison. And we can also go to the country level examples. So most of us will be interested in this particular script, which I'll share with you as part of the ongoing work we have with our partners. And this is the notebook which I was showing you for Nairobi, and you can change the extents to get the dates. And now we co-development with our partners, we can generate the same for country level, which is very impactful for some of your work. So this particular case, paying attention to this particular notebook, which is also shared in the presentation, as well as I put it in the chat for everyone to follow and also share with the user community and all, and also receiving some feedbacks to make sure we leave no one behind in this particular agenda. So the presentation, I'll put it in the chat, and as I go to the presentation, is that now I can show you the country level presentations, and as I move from one tab to another, from the presentation to the actual notebook, you can be able to see that you're able to run all the parameters, loading the data. And also this particular notebook is very interesting because it helps us to load per country level. So you're able to change from any country, from the 55 countries that we have. For this particular case, we have the example for Burkina Faso, and you're able to see that you've loaded all the relevant parameters. You're able to set the dates, which are very key, and you can be able to get the results in the different folders. And all we can load the data from the either land cover data and mask the data sets and export the results in a particular folder, which is called results, which has all the results. So for example, results for Burkina Faso, they'll be able to run in that particular notebook. And finally, what you can do is right click and control, and you're able to download the datasets if possible and use it in your other platforms just as an interaction with this particular tool. And as you load the data, you're able to see that you're able to load and export the datasets in IPCC format, writing the data from 2014, 2019. And even if you want, you can actually edit the script to actually make it run up 2021. And also you're able to do the classification, which has been done for you. US just to run any parameter. So you can run it for Ghana, Nigeria, and even in the examples I showed you, I had another example for Lesotho. So for all the countries, you can generate some of these products and data sets. So for example, this one, like this particular PNG map, will be in your results folder as well. You're able to see the PNG files as well. And also from the other side, you can always do a shift control, right click, and you're able to save it as an image as well, as a screenshot that you can use in your report. Reclassifying the data, you're able to write the data as a reclassified TIFF format that you can read in your GIS environment or remote scene software. And you can also be able to come up with an animation of the same, which is quite impactful to see the dynamics of the country over time. So Digital South Africa actually empowers us to be able to visualize some of the results that we really would take a lot of time to go through different platforms and softwares. Even you're able to see the changes in some of the water bodies in the country, in Burkina Faso, especially where our colleague Rodrigue Lele is residing in Ouagadougou in Burkina Faso. So even going down, you're able to see the changes over time, drawn as statistics that you can generate and put it in a table format, which is also downloaded as a CSV file in your results folder. So most of these are very interactive, and you can actually do much more, and even get comparison based on different dates with the information that you collect from other stories in the media or also from the national statistics offices. So all this possible for the countries, even getting change detection at the country level, very impactful. And you can come up with something as a summary, which gives you an idea of areas which needs intervention, very big changes in land cover. You can be able to see areas of restoration and areas which have remained stable over time. And this is very key for restoration efforts in the country, and also alarming the policy leaders of what interventions need to be made so that we can have a sustainable future for everyone, leaving no one behind. So as we're able to move through, you can be able to do much more. And in the presentations that I've shared, you'll be able to see that you can generate much more information. So for today, we were looking at land cover for each country. And this is the particular notebook for the land cover for country level, where you're able to change the country level. Then based on the same work we've developed with our partners, they were able to look at changes in the vegetation index over time. This notebook is also in that particular shared notebook as well. I can also repost the same link to these scripts so that you'll have a big day ahead to explore what is possible, and even possibly you could be able to present the same in the next session. So looking at the question in the chat, is that the results are shared in the results folder, including the animation, which is a GIF, which you'll see it here. So GIF file, you can actually even right click on it and Control Shift, you can be able to download it, specifically that one for your reporting as well, social media, sharing with everybody. So on the NDVI as well, it takes some time to run and making assessments on the vegetation index over time for that particular country. It will take just some few minutes as we receive any questions from you. Then the notebook that we co-developed with our partners was cross land use land cover vegetation matrix, which was impactful to inform how much change has happened in the country level. And just giving you a snapshot, you can be able to see the comparison of the land cover as well as the changes in the vegetation index and how it compares. So if you're able to remember, there was some area where we had hotspots around the middle of the country, and this was also picked in the land cover map around here. And out of knowledge or general knowledge is that we can always go to Burkina Faso as a country and just compare what you see from our the Africa map. So was possible hotspots around Ouagadougou is what we can see from the map. So also as it able to load, we'll be able to see how it was around a particular area. And you can see it is a possibility of some urbanization activity around Ouagadougou, and we can zoom into around the same area, and we can see possible changes. And my colleague has been mentioning some changes in some of the water bodies over time. And the other part is that you can always remove that land cover data and just exploring our skills on the DAfrica map. You can add a geomedian data, which can give you some changes over time to confirm just what we are receiving from the land cover classifications that you've seen. So we can change from, we had from 2020 to 2021, just to see if we can be able to pick some of the spots, same area. So we could do a change in vegetation just to see if we're able to capture some of the changes around. So it seems quite around changing vegetation around the area based on how you're able to view from your side. Then if you're able to be, if you are more comfortable with the with this product of the geomedian, is that you can use the MAD values to check some of the changes, just the dimensions of the spectral visibility. Then also based on the, you can use the spectral geomedian, which gives you some extra information. And all this information is contained in the user guide, just giving you some idea of the changes. And the other part is that you can use different spectrums to see different changes without even downloading the data, because that's the purpose of the geomedian product, to give you an assessment of just what is happening. This is quite on the true color composite. You'll be able to just pick some changes over time. You can see just slightly some changes. So going back to the work, you can see it's around Ouagadougou should be here, so it should be some city around this particular region. So you can use even ground data to do some validation. And also you can do different countries. For example, I could check on another country that I was able to look at. For example, if we have someone from Lesotho, you can check also the changes in the vegetation over time, and it's a quite mountainous country, and that's why the dynamics are quite different from what we are seeing. So all this data that we have is for everybody to access. All the scripts at your disposal. Same for NDVI, just changing the country and having also the change in the NDVI, some interesting changes over time, and all these impactful for your reports or actually work that you can inform policymakers, the country level, showing also some different changes over time. For example, in case you're in Ghana, you could show you different changes in the north of Ghana. So this is a combination of the vegetation index from this side. And if you look at the cross-validated product now, we'll be able to pick some hotspot areas, etc., etc. And the other script which was co-developed was, we had the first three scripts, land cover, NDVI, and land use, land cover, NDVI matrix change. Then we also had vegetation change at the country level, which is quite useful. And finally, the recent one was on forest fire monitoring, which is also new, that you have all the scripts and we can review this topic as well, based on the interest as well, even you presenting to us some of your results in the next meeting. So the forest area, we normally use the normalized burnt area index, which is all monitored and shown in that particular example for different years, the same scenarios, etc., etc. So for the vegetation change, I can choose to run it in the background, and you can see some of the products that you'll be able to see at the country level, and all these results will be shared in your results folder, as you can see. Just taking note of each product and each country. For example, even there, you can just put Faso, so that you're actually able to see that you are saving for a certain country, so that you don't mix up your work. So all the scripts are at your disposal. And this is just a notebook on the vegetation index, which is similar to the one we have on the other side, but now more specifically for country level. And the final product will be the forest fire monitoring, which is very useful. You can do it for country. And finally, we've been able to look at country level products, some of the results, as you can see from your side, and you can compare country by country level. For example, in this particular example. And finally, all the data sets that we have, we've aimed to develop training courses. For example, in this particular one, we developed a recent course on land degradation, which covers some of these aspects as well. And also, if you look on the training dashboard, we have these land degradation course. Also, others we have urbanization, agriculture, food security, water resources, and introduction to the Africa in English and French. And finally, you're able to connect with us on our website, including these live sessions and recordings of other sessions, and also special acknowledgement to the partners who've been with us the last 3-4 years to make sure the Africa is possible. And also thanking you guys for joining us today, regardless of where you're connecting us, either you're connecting from North Africa, South, or in the middle, or outside the continent. Together, we are able to move as one country. Thank you so much, and thank you, moderator, for this opportunity.
Thank you to you, Ken, for such a very clear presentation, very comprehensive. I trust that the leaders who are in this space found this useful and can be able to use it to make their work better. Land cover mapping in Sandbox, that address once again is sandbox.data digitalearth.africa. And Ken also spoke about the online courses, especially land degradation, which is quite related to land cover mapping that we discussed today. All of that you can access via learn.digitalearthafrica.com. We always want to give our community an opportunity to ask any questions or give comments. So I'm not sure if there's anyone at this point that has any questions or comments with regards to today's presentation and they'd like to pose those to Dr. Ken Mubea. I'm not seeing any hands raised, so I'm going to assume that everything was clear and everyone understands what is happening. We use these opportunities in addition to showcase new products and services. We also use this opportunity to connect with our users. We always want to give the users an opportunity to introduce themselves to the rest of the community. We've quite a big group today, so I'm going to just call upon some of the leaders in the group to maybe introduce themselves, let us know what it is they do and which part of our continent or the world they are based. I see Eileen Magero. She was part of our International Women's Day lineup a few weeks ago. Eileen, how have you been? Are you still in Japan? What's happening? Over to you.
Thank you very much, Maud, for introducing me. And thank you, Kenneth, for the presentation. It was very informative. And yeah, I'm still in Japan, soldiering on with my studies. And I did enjoy our last session on Women's Day. It was amazing. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. We're so lovely and pleased to hear that everything is going well for you there, Eileen, and we look forward to seeing you at another live session. And maybe, who knows, you could also be a facilitator on one of those. No pressure.
Yeah, I'm working on something. I hope I'll consult Ken on it and make a presentation.
Oh, beautiful. So we look forward to seeing you on the virtual stage here in the very near future. Thank you so much and lovely to see you again, Eileen. And then I'm going to go over to Roderick Lele. He is usually a participant in our French session, but he's joined us today. Roderick Lele, how are you? I see you've put a comment in the chat. How are you, Roderick?
I'm fine, Maud. Good morning, everybody. So I'm always happy to join the session. I congratulate the presentation, the presenter, and as I was saying in the chat, I will be trying to find what is being in that spotted ring, the red ring that Dr. Kenneth was saying. So I am interested to know what is there once I'm back in Ouagadougou. So thank you very much for all.
Thank you very much to you, Roderick. I think the comment was made to you, Dr. Mubea. So Roderick's going to do his homework when he gets back to Ouagadougou so that he can find out what exactly is in that ring using the land cover mapping through the sandbox. Thank you so much to you. And now I'm going to move over to Sinetemba Mjali. She was one of the winners in the African Women in GIS Technical Challenge. We hosted it very early on in this year. We'll drop a link to that in the comment section in case you want to interact with that video. Sinetemba, how have you been since the technical challenge? Care to introduce yourself to the community? You're welcome to just unmute yourself if you're not able to turn on your video. And in case you're trying to speak, Sinetemba, you are not audible at this point.
Everybody hear me now?
Yes, we can. Thank you.
Hi everyone. I'm from the cold South Africa, hence the big coats and everything. I hope everybody is doing well. Yes, as Maud said, that I was part of the technical challenge. A lot has happened since then. I was even able to go to Uganda. I was in Kampala in May, just to continue with my mentor, continue with the project. I joined this session because we're working now further, you know, to expand the scope of the project using the tools that D-Africa has been giving us. And it's so great to see the potential of the things that we're working on, as well as using the sandbox and using the D-Africa maps. It's been really helpful. So yeah, that's what I've been doing.
Thank you so much, Sinetemba. It's lovely to hear from you. We're certainly looking forward to hearing more about what has happened since you were last on the technical challenge. So I'll certainly be reaching out to you later today so that we can just get that information out to our user community within the next few weeks. Always lovely to have you with us. care to introduce yourself to the community? Where from the continent are you joining us from? Benjamin de Kongme.
Yes, thank you so much for giving me the opportunity. Yes, so as you rightly mentioned, my name is Benjamin Ouidah. So I'm a PhD candidate at the University of Energy and Natural Resources, Sunyani. And I'm also assistant lecturer at Ho Technical University, also in Ghana. Yeah, so basically, as Dr. Ken normally say, or normally mentioned, leave no one behind. Yes, and Digital Earth Africa has really been a hub of great resources for me as a PhD student. Yes, because I'm currently working on flooding and groundwater modeling, and basically all my research, I've been getting a lot of data from there, and I'm really grateful for the opportunity to only be here.
It's always such an amazing opportunity to connect with you and with our community. Indeed, we never want to leave anyone behind. So I want to encourage all of us in our spaces, let the world know about Digital Earth Africa and about these live sessions so that they can also benefit from this platform as much as you have.
For this opportunity. Okay, my name is Brighton. I'm not yet a doctor. I'm a PhD candidate at University of Cape Town. I'm starting a PhD on geomatics.
It's nice to. This is how you can do so. All the information is on your screen. We are available on our website, which is www.digitalearthafrica.org. You can also send us an email if you wish, info@digitalearthafrica.org. Reminder about those online courses that Dr. Kenneth spoke about earlier. Land degradation is the one that deals specifically with today's topic, but there are a various array of topics. They're free and they self-paced. I want to encourage you to visit learn.digitalearthafrica.org. The courses are available in English and also in French. Remember, we're not leaving anyone behind. So please go and visit learn.digitalearthafrica.org. And then we're also on social media, Twitter, LinkedIn, as well as YouTube by the same name, Digital Earth Africa. And remember, if you're on YouTube, subscribe to our channel and hit the bell notification so that you can be notified whenever we drop our next video. It's been an absolute honor hosting you today. We host these sessions every week on a Wednesday at 11 a.m. GMT in both English, alternating, and French. Today it was English, but next week we're going to have this very same topic in French. So if you prefer to hear land cover mapping in French, please look out for that poster that will be coming out, the announcement, and we look forward to hosting you then. We're about to take that